So the big day is today. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be speaking at Jackson Hole. We'll go over what that could potentially mean for the markets. We'll go over all the usual stuff as well. So the charts for BTC, Ethereum, some TradFi stuff such as the dollar and the S&P. And then, of course, we'll go through some altcoin setups and potential trades. So if you do enjoy our content, please do consider liking and subscribing. Really do appreciate it. It does help us out massively. Let's get into the news before we get into the charts. So as I say, today's the day. Jerome Powell will be speaking at Jackson Hole. So this is quite a good article from, I think, Reuters. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but you can see it there. So the title, it's quite a good article. It's quite balanced. So it starts off with the headline, which obviously grabs you in. US stocks may not be ready for hawkish Powell at Jackson Hole, options data show. So potentially, spelling out some potential downside after his speech today. But then it goes down and you can see it shows you the previous outcomes of other Jackson Hole events. And as you can see, it's normally not that big of a reaction, but the two standouts are the sell-offs of 2019 and 2022. And of course, with it being such a big event last year, people are naturally expecting it to have a similar effect this year, but that might not be the case. As it goes on to say further down with this quote from Chris Murphy, who says, I think if anything, this event has been hyped up and Powell will have much less of an axe to grind compared to last year. So, of course, things are slightly different in the financial world this year compared to last year. You know, inflation was still really high last year, so hence why Jerome Powell had to take such a hawkish stance. Maybe he'll be a bit more relaxed this year, and as the quote says, maybe this event has been blown out of proportion a little bit, and it will just be a bit of a nothing burger. But as we've seen before, some big reactions to the market in previous years. Will we get the same this year? I'm kind of hoping so, just because I'd like to see some more price action, some more volatility. I'd like to see some decisions made, particularly on the BTC chart. So let's get into that. Not really much change on the higher time frames, as we've spoken about before. This 25.2k level, monthly level, is vital. Don't want to see a monthly close below that if you're a bull. Because that's a change of market structure. It's a lower low, and it really opens up the door to 21.5k. However, if we hold that, there's a good argument to say that that's a bit of a double bottom here, and that the uptrend market structure has been maintained, and then we could go off for, and it's a decent pullback as well. If we take a look from 31k down to there, it's your classic 20% pullback. So yeah, it's a really important level, and we've got about 5-6 days to go before that month. Oh, in fact, it says there, doesn't it? So 7 days, including today. So vital level. On the weekly, not much to add. As we've spoken about before, the weekly level is the same as the monthly level at 25.2k. You can see where the wicks hit almost perfectly. So no change there. It's just on the daily time frame, but again, not that much price action. So this level at 26.3 was resistance, as you can see at the beginning of the week. We popped above it on Wednesday, but caused a wick, or formed a wick, I should say, and then yesterday we got a close back below it, so mini deviation there. So not the greatest sign if you're a bull, as you'd really want to see some push on and some momentum after that daily close above 26.3 to push it up to 28k. Didn't happen, and now we're just sort of chilling just below 26.3, but at the same time, every attempt at pushing to the downside has been bought up, so we are really sort of between a rock and a hard place at 26.3 resistance and 25.2k support. So as I say, hopefully the Jackson Hole speech will move the markets a little bit. I didn't mention actually the speech is at 10:05 a.m. Eastern time, which is 3 o'clock for 3 UK time. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Ethereum, unfortunately, even more boring. We're stuck in this mini range between 1697 and 1635, as you can see. Spent literally the past few, so since last Friday. So we've spent an entire week just bouncing between these two levels. A daily close and hold below 1635 would be very bearish in my opinion. It's clearly a key support. We've not had a daily close below it since back on the 12th of March. So yeah, huge level there. However, at the same time, if we get a daily close below and then we deviate back above, that would be a very bullish sign. That would catch a lot of people out. If you got a daily close below here, shorts would pile in, and then you might get some sort of short squeeze. But again, similar to BTC, the 1721 monthly level is very important. If we go to the monthly time frame, you can see we've talked about this time and time again, so apologies for repeating myself if you follow our weekly videos, but we popped above this 1721 monthly level, held above it, but didn't really manage to get anywhere apart from 2k, and then very quickly rejected. Held it at support a few times, but now we're threatening to close below it, and for me that would just be a big deviation, and it opens the door to lower, potentially to 1200, or maybe even back to the lows of 850. But let's not get too carried away. As I say, we've still got another 7 days to go to potentially hold this 1721 level, and then of course if BTC holds 25k and then goes on a run, then of course Ethereum, if it holds 1721, will probably follow it, and then you might see a run up to 2.3k. So yeah, as I say, all to play for, so to speak. But nothing really on the daily. You get a daily close above 1697 or below 1635, that might start opening up the door to some price action. ETH BTC, we talked about this on Monday. It was looking very interesting on Monday, but it's got a little bit boring again. As you can see, it's not breaking support at 0.062, but it's also not breaking resistance of this this trend line. So it's just getting squeezed into this little apex. So could be quite an explosive move in the next week or two, either to the downside or to the upside. We're just going to have to wait and see which way it breaks. And obviously a break upwards would be great for altcoins. A break downwards would be very bad. I still think we are going to see 0.05 eventually test the bottom of that monthly range. And if that does happen, I think that's going to be an awesome buying opportunity for altcoins. But we'll just have to wait and see if that happens. Bitcoin dominance, as we talked about on Monday, still bouncing off that monthly range high. If we deviate and get back down to below 48%, then that is very bearish for Bitcoin dominance, very bullish for ETH BTC and altcoins. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, if that happens, get down to 48%, that will cause ETH BTC to break out of that trend line and go for a little run. But at the moment, still holding as support, so it's support until proven otherwise. If we go into TradFi, if we get into the S&P, so still rejecting off of that big monthly level up at 4,600, and the weekly is not looking too bullish at all. Of course, last day of the week as well, so not looking great. And with Jerome Powell speaking this afternoon, could we see that final push down into support at 4,327? You can see yesterday not a great day at all, rejecting that level at 4,426. We got above it on Wednesday, didn't manage to hold above it, straight back down. And we've got a little bit of support here, as you can see, at 4,372. So let's just pop that on there. We'll see how we close the day and the week. As I say, I think we are going to get that test of 4,327, and then it's just a question of, is this a higher low, or are we going to deviate back inside 4,327? And that basically opens up this whole void of price action all the way down to 3,587. So have to wait and see. And then the Dixie, the dollar, nice strong move off of that monthly support that we've talked about over the past few weeks. I mean, look at that for a move. The past, what's that, 6 weeks now? It looks like we're clearing this swing high here at the 3rd of July of earlier in the year. So the next target is this 105 area up here, where I would expect some sort of pullback, even if it's a bullish pullback, into support before another leg, because it's been absolutely screaming up. So yeah, I expect a small pullback at 105. Whether it's a full-on rejection or whether a small pullback and then a breakthrough. If the dollar breaks through 105, that is going to be very detrimental to risk assets, in my opinion. So definitely something to keep an eye on if and when it gets up there. And then finally, the VIX, still super low, lots of room for expansion. So again, adds to the bearish narrative for the Jackson Hole and for the S&P to drop a little bit more. So as you can see, usually, so the saying to remember, as I've said many times this channel before, when the VIX is low, look out below. When the VIX is high, time to buy. So high VIX usually marks a bottom, low VIX normally marks a top. And as you can see, the top came in sort of around end of July time. And we've still got plenty of room for expansion if the S&P goes lower. So something to watch out for and be cautious about. If we get into the altcoin chart, so earlier in the week on Monday, I talked about two trades I was looking at, ADA and AVAX, I believe it was. So I was talking about ADA here as a long setup, because we bounced off the weekly range low, as you can see, and then on the daily time frame we had deviated back inside this daily range low. Now the last time it happened was back here in June, as you can see, broke down below resistance, got back inside, as you can see, so deviation, and then it went for a run all the way up to the range high. Thought that was what's going to happen again. As you can see, we closed back above on Sunday, so we closed above on Saturday, held it as support on Sunday, so on Monday entered it as a long, but unfortunately broke down below, so Tuesday morning jumped out of that for a small loss, and that was a good call because it went all the way down to 25 cents, which would have easily hit my stop loss. And as you can see, even now it's just sort of chopping in and around that level, so no confirmation for a trade there for me, unfortunately. It's been quite a difficult week for trades, very choppy, mixed signals. Because, as I say, with BTC, it looked like it was very bearish, wicked all the way down to 25.4 on Tuesday, and then zipped up, broke above resistance, then got back below resistance, or didn't hold its support. So very confusing price action, unfortunately, this week. So it's been tough for trades. And AVAX was the same. So we saw it's on a really strong monthly range low support, as you can see. Even on the weekly, this has been the bottom a few times. So back in 2021 in the summer, then back here in the end of the year, start of this year, and then back in June as well. So this has been the bottom quite a number of times. On the daily time frame, saw this level here at $10.52, which was the Friday lows. Entered there for a long, unfortunately. Closed below, so we jumped out again early on Tuesday morning for a small loss, and as you can see, another good call because it went all the way down to $9.70, which again would have hit stop loss, and it's continuing to drop now. So again, very difficult to jump into a trade. You don't really want to be jumping in to a short there at $10.50 because again, you are in this monthly area of support, which has had very violent bounces before. You can see here, big wicks here, big wicks here, big wicks here. So yeah, pretty dodgy area to short. You really want to be looking at longs somewhere around here. So maybe at the bottom of this support range at sort of $9.50, $9.30. BNB, the coin that everyone's got their eye on at the moment. Every man and his dog waiting to see whether this 205 weekly level support breaks. As you can see, two decent bounces off it so far. If you go to the daily, the reason I didn't enter this as a long back on Tuesday was I thought we were going to get a bigger fake out. So we had this fake out last year in June, as you can see, big wick down to 182, lots of shorts piled in, and then immediately ran back up, and it went all the way up to the weekly range high. We actually played that on the MY Learn last year. It was a very good trade. We entered here when the daily candle confirmed, and then we jumped in sort of somewhere around here, 210, 212, something like that, and played it all the way up. So yeah, that was a nice trade, and so that's what I was cautious about happening again. But as you can see, we just bounced right off the bottom quite cleanly, but we're struggling to get and hold above $218, which is the swing high from back on the weekend on Sunday. So this could just be the last little bounce before it finally breaks, and if that level does break a bit, I think alts will absolutely tank. So something to be cautious of. If we go take a look at DOT, this is probably the most boring coin on the watch list at the moment. As you can see, it's had a couple of bounces off this $4.27 level, which is nice, but not really gone anywhere. I think it's about a 5% move. Yeah, they go 5%, so not really that entertaining. Not made it back up to the daily range low for a bearish retest, which would be a nice short area. And again, if you played it long, that would be a nice TP area. It's just sort of chilling, chopping sideways, so no real trade on that. Matic didn't rally high enough to jump into a short. I was looking for potentially getting in around sort of 58. Well, ideally, I wanted to get in at 61 cents. Bearish retest this daily level, but didn't happen. We had a little test of this week level on the Saturday. In fact, that was the same. Yeah, so that was last week. So the weekly candle hadn't confirmed yet. So that wasn't really a bearish retest because it was still in the same week. So we've not had a decent opportunity to jump into a short there. And longs just haven't made it down to this 51 cents daily level. This one did. But again, that was a very hard and fast move. Definitely wasn't expecting it to reach it from 62 cents down to 51 cents in one go. Definitely wasn't expecting that. So yeah, if it comes back down to 51 cents, might be a decent long. Or if it breaks down below bearish retest, jump into a short. Or again, if it rallies up to 61 cents, that'd be a nice short. Near, it's had a bearish retest of that $1.22 level, so weekly range low. So potentially this is now going to reject, come down to 94 cents, the start of this leg of the move up here. Didn't jump into this short, unfortunately. Just missed it. I work pretty long hours on a Wednesday, and again wasn't expecting such a fast move up into it, so that's a bit of a shame. But and also BTC was above resistance on that day as well, so it was a bit like, well, are we breaking up? Are we going to expand to 28k, etc.? So Yeah, didn't jump into that, but that looks like it's rejecting. Could come back down to $1.10. If that breaks down below, bearish retest could jump into a short there, or of course, if it bounces off $1.10, long that up into the weekly range low again. VeChain, no action on this at all. So we come down after the big dump day, and we've been sat on this monthly range low basically the entire week. Not managed to get a close and hold above 0.016 day level, as you can see. If you did, so you can see we've had these 2 day closes, but then they're followed by basically a deviation. We've got back below and close below them the following day. If you actually got a close and hold above, you could look at that long into the daily range low, and again you could then flip short on a bearish retest of the daily range low, but we've just not had that confirmation. And as you can see, you don't really want to be shorting into monthly range low support or monthly support in general. As you can see, it's a clear level of support, so you don't really want to be shorting into higher time frame support. So that's why there's no real trade opportunity on that, and unless it either, as I say, gets above and holds above 0.016 or comes back down to 0.014. And then finally ZIL, very similar situation as Ethereum, just stuck in between these 2 daily levels at 0.017 and 0.016, and again similar to VeChain, right on this big monthly support. As you can see, this has been a huge monthly support for ZIL all across its lifetime. If you go on to the weekly as well, it's been the bottom many times. So again, you don't really want to be shorting here, not a good area for shorts. So yeah, even on the daily time frame, again similar to VeChain, if you get a daily close and hold above 0.017, you can long that up to the daily range low for a bearish retest, or you could potentially try and long this daily support. But again, even if you did do that back on Wednesday or Tuesday, you've not really got too much for your troubles there, 5.6%. So again, probably best waiting for that confirmation. Or if we do dump quite hard and get below 0.015, then look for a potential bearish retest. So yeah, that's what I'm looking out for. Again, as I said at the beginning of the video, hopefully Jackson Hole will provide some volatility and some price action. Hopefully we get a nice clean monthly candle close, either well above 25.2k or well below it, just so that level is sort of dealt with, and then we can get a nice trending market, which would be nice, because all we've had this week is just consolidation after the big move down. So fingers crossed we get some volatility. As I said earlier, 10:05 a.m. Eastern time, which is 3 o'clock UK time for Jerome Powell's speech. Might be a bit of volatility before and during, but or it could just be a nothing burger. We'll have to wait and see. No video on Monday because it's a UK bank holiday, but the next video we'll have for you will be on Tuesday. So have a good weekend, and I'll see you then.